who was a protege of Dr. Joseph Mengele. And here's the point. The very foundation in terms of the human programming is attachment. So John Bowlby is the attachment theorist. And so through trauma bonding and through symbiosis in that trauma bonding, the person's identity is not, you don't have the ability to really know who you are. And so there's bonding to spirits, there's bonding to Nephilim, and so through trauma bonding, a lot of these people's identity at the very foundation, even on a human level, through the work that was the pioneer work of Dr. John Bowlby, you have in place all that which represents attachment theory. Now, it's in the trauma as it relates to attachment, lack of positive nurturance, where the person can develop normally. We have all that which is referred to as border personality disorder. So at the very deepest level, because of attachment to that which is non-nurturing, we have all the borderline stuff. So a person who is DID in their various presentations is anchored in what we would call borderline in terms of the psychological framework. So these people have first gone through trauma-based mind control with Dr. Bowlby, and then they're transitioned in the older generation to Dr. Joseph Mengele. Like Dan Webb, for example, he was with Mengele from 0 to 15 months, and then 15 months to 18 months, he was with both Dr. John Bowlby and Mengele, and then from 15 months to 2 years old, he spent all of his time with Dr. Joseph Mengele. He has memories of him playing the piano. He didn't even know when when I played a song where Mengele was singing, I found it on the internet, he reacted. He recognized his voice. He recognized the way he played the piano and sang beautiful music. So the point is, there's an interfacing between trauma bonding at an attachment level, and then Mengele comes in and brings in all the sophisticated structuring and mind control that makes up the DID system. Since then, there are other proteges and people who followed up on this. So maybe just pass the phone in terms of what are your thoughts on when it comes to symbiosis, attachment, in terms of the formation of your identity. How important is it for you ladies to be disentangled, unattached from that which is not human or that which is a perpetrator in order for your identity to be able to form and become what God intended you to be?
Okay. This is Jennifer Diane again. Just thinking for a second. Like Doug said, right at the base, there's an attachment disorder, because right as a baby, and then even for me, spiritually in the womb, I am drawn out and made one with these spirits, with these Nephilim, where I can't tell the difference between them and me. And so their will is my will. And Satan's will, like I was saying before, I was drawn out and brought into the 5 I wills of Satan. And it's as if those wills, those 5 I wills, that will is my will. And so to be able to getting to that and getting disentangled from that oneness, that symbiosis with these Nephilim, and because it's like then it's as if you share in their identity, but in their judgment. Okay. And so there's no difference between Nimrod and me. There's no difference between Satan and me. And so I have to get disentangled from them to even be able to know that I have a choice. Because otherwise I don't know I have a choice. And then that's a lot of times been why I've been accessed, is because, hey, I'm going to go do a ritual, I'll be involved in idolatry because, hey, I'm Satan. And there's no difference between him and me. Yeah. And so it's a way of keeping somebody in bondage because they don't know they have a choice. They don't know they have an ability to choose, and they're one with their perpetrator, programmer, or the spirits in mind, emotion, will, spirit, soul, and body, too.
Do you have any comments on this particular subject in terms of attachment and stuff?
Well, yeah. Because, like, for me, in looking back, as I have more of my history unfolding, it's been like a puzzle with more and more pieces filling in, and so I have a bigger picture. And just seeing the effects of the trauma bonding at the base there, because initially, for the first 3 years of my life, I didn't have a home. I mean, I literally did not have a home base. And so I attached to, I was kind of like, I call it the Nephilim community, that I was, you know, I was with them. That was my family in a sense. And then I was taken just throughout those first 3 years, just all over the world. And so bonding not just with Nephilim, but with strangers, you know, people that I was brought in contact with. And even though I was very young, in a sense, already being used to power up, even though I'm only an infant. So,
and I just insert there, when she says taking all over the world, we're talking about bonding with Kim Il-sung, and then bonding at a very early age in marriage rituals with Kim Jong-il, and being a medium of transfer of satanic power that would power up these world leaders that are in existence today.
So that was the first 3 years of my life. So, I mean, it's very, very important for me to have my humanity released to those unions, those symbiotic unions that I had with the Nephilim, even though they were, we're not talking about the ones that came into existence in 49 and after I was born in 62. I don't know if I'm making sense, but that was the way I saw things. And even today, I mean, it is very, very difficult. In my presenter, I'm with people, I talk, I can laugh. If I know people pretty good, I'm relaxed. But internally, there's extreme isolation that I've had to break through because I've lived so separated off, didn't know how to relate to humans. I found them very, very scary. So, I mean, that's just on a practical level, not even like just the spiritual dynamics. You know what I'm saying? Just very, very difficult to know how to relate to people, and still freaking out, like if I'm put into a situation where I don't know anybody around me. You know, like if I go to the doctor and I don't have anybody with me, I still can freak out, but I tell them what's going on and why I'm doing this, and they, you know, are understanding, so that's helped me to get through these places. But it's very important to do the work, because if you're in union in any part of yourself, perceived to still be unified in loyal submission to Satan or any other principality and power, that is, you know, that's idolatry. So to say, well, you know, I've gotten this far, I think I'll just sit back and rest on what I have now. No, I can't do that, because that makes me accessible. Whenever I still have something left there, you can bet they come target it and find the weak spots, and that's where they're going to go for, you know, and take me out to another ritual. So it's very important. But talking about the symbiotic union, I mean, that just can't be underestimated. When somebody's gone through all that trauma, there's just such shattering of the person and the ability to live life and to really relate in good, healthy ways.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's also important to recognize, had a question from our friend Paul, is there not any authority? In other words, do they have authority? You have authority to the degree that your humanity is present. If the will is still dissociated through trauma, that's why you have to go in and recover this. And, you know, we got an email from this one person who said, well, I had 40 demons. I heard these ladies, what they need, basically what she said, and I think she was very sincere. Basically, what you need is to come down to our ministry, and we'll just cast out the demons, and you'll be all right. Now, we've been there and done that, and I know how to remove demons. I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, I have no problem with that. But when you're dealing with trauma-based disorder and you start issuing commands, these demons don't leave if the part of the humanity that has not been accessed, you haven't gotten to that, then you have to go in and you displace that demon by reconnecting with that part of yourself.
Absolutely. And that's so important for people to know that. It's just not about just casting out some demon. I mean, we've done that, been there, done that.
We still do it.
And we still do that all the time. But when there's humanity still locked in an event, that humanity has to be brought forward to, to be brought into the person, the presenter person.
What's dissociated has to be reassociated with present time.
Absolutely. So this is not just doing spiritual work; it's also doing good psychological work.
Yeah. Dealing with trauma.
Dealing with trauma from a psychological basis, but also doing the spiritual warfare where it is needed. It's not one or the other.
That's good. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, too, it's like part of the attachment thing is, too, that it's like little kids, babies, like they want to be loved. And so what they do is these principalities, they can masquerade as a loving, safe place. And so then just as a child, as an infant, you reach out to be enveloped in that. And then as you become, as a baby, it's not a choice. But then it is idolatry when I'm looking to Nimrod for love and for acceptance and for safety.
Yeah, and for sexual fulfillment. Because
right.
You've been conditioned that way from an infant to be dependent. So that's the raw
exactly.
truth. That's, as a woman, your most effective way to be used as a channeler of power to world rulers is by sexual union.
Yeah, very much so.
It's called prostitution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how it's done.
Yeah.
That's how it's done. So, I just have thought to say that because then often that's why they can't necessarily just be cast out if I'm holding on to them. And don't even know it. And that takes the Lord revealing it because I have to let go.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for that. Go ahead, Susan.
Because it's like Doug said, we've been trained even from birth to be dependent on these spirits, just to even hold us together and to function in life. So allowing us to, when we come to realize what it really means and to connect with what it has meant to live in this realm, it's really undoing it. It's a real mercy of the Lord and breaking us and reducing us and showing us. But I think as we were talking about the attachment, I just want to say that we made a move 4 years ago, and in that process I lived by myself before, and I knew that at that point I had really gone as far as I could. And in this move, now there's 4 of us in one household, 4 single women, and it's not just about getting to the old attachments that were established on a spiritual level, but the attaching outwardly has made it so possible. Living in community here more and more has made it, has countered that and has made a way for me to build trust and to enter in places I never could have before. So it's learning to trust and live in community with the body of Christ.
God bless you, Susan.
That's been real key.
That's wonderful. How are we doing on time, Georgianne?
You're at an hour and a half.
Okay, let's summarize by what do you, and Susan, and 3 of you, what do you see the centrality and the role of you being brought to the UN? Why the UN? What takes place at the UN? Because this is a big deal. The Satan's throne may be in Jerusalem, but the United Nations, whenever you've been accessed here and they haul you off the United Nations, there's a reason why you're brought there. Why are you taken there? What takes place? What's the purpose? Go ahead, Connie.
Well, for me, especially in the early days, bringing me back to the United Nations was like a sealing off. Like I was taken out all over here, and then these events anchored in Jerusalem, brought back to the UN, and brought into as a sex slave to service the men there, even as a very young girl.
Like the kings of the earth, Psalm 2.
Yes, and then sealing everything off. And that's also the base of the one world my mind just went blank.
Yeah,
The church.
the New World Order.
The New World Order, but also the Universal Church of Satan is actually anchored in Jerusalem. But on a worldly level, monetary and the government and spiritual is anchored on